Hi, my name is Allison. Today we are going to talk about how to accept yourself when perfectionism demands more. This is a big deal because perfectionism is super sneaky and it is a powerful motivator for so many people. And it's also a extremely debilitating type of energy. Like, while it can be motivating, at the same time, it is also causing harm. So, for people's emotional well being and their ability to live open and live heart led, it actually does the opposite. It actually creates environments um, of shame and pressure and the kind of energy that is not sustainable. It may be a motivator for a short time, but it's not sustainable for anything long term. So it's really important to learn how to actually accept yourself when perfectionism demands more. And if you've ever felt like you are constantly judging yourself, constantly being underneath voices of saying you're not doing it right, you're not doing enough, you're not doing fast enough, whatever it is, you're in the right place. By the end of these 13-ish minutes, you're going to understand what perfectionism really is, what's happening inside of your inner world with that concept, and how you can bring more calm and acceptance and peace to you. I personally have battled with perfectionism my entire life, and it looked a lot in my mind like excellence and the wanting to do things well, and it sounded very logical. It sounded very right. Rightness is there. There's the thing to remember there. But it wasn't ever truly from my soul. Like the feeling of doing things well and making a difference and just working hard with our hands, which we're designed to do, that's a different feeling than the feeling of perfectionism. And so I lived under the weight of perfectionism for so much of my life, thinking that it was the category of like doing things right and following the right path and doing the right things. And it hurt me. It hurt me, and it caused me to get so much stress in my body, which then caused so many rippling effects. My relationships were hurt because what I was trying to do was trying to be right and perfect and doing the things well, so I couldn't be blamed, I couldn't be faulted, and all those things. And it just sets up an entirely unhealthy system and patterns between people, with our relationship with ourselves, just overall. The thing is, most people, most conventional conversations around perfectionism don't distinguish what is perfectionism and what's it driven from versus what's just good hard work ethic. I feel like there's not enough distinction between that, and so we get really confused in our mind about how to operate, and our brain is always going to run with the thing that's going to try and keep us safe, and so it ends up becoming more along the line of perfectionism than anything else. But what if the biggest thing here is just to understand what is this thing at a deeper level that's feeding this perfectionism inside of me? What is it and where is it coming from? So let me show you. Here's you and me and all of us. Perfectionism is a collection of ideas, and it's also a collection of programmed beliefs. So what it usually sounds like is, I have to do it right. I have to do it fast. I have to do it efficiently. I have to be better. I have to be enough. This is really it at the end of the day. I have to be enough. These are the things that are constantly bombarding us when we're taking on any task, or when we're just even trying to do like self-development and growth and like working on ourselves. It still comes into play. Well, that's because perfectionism is very much a part of these voices. So I like to think of these as all of the voices. They're all coming at us from all direction. They all sound important. They all sound urgent. And most of them can be traced back to when we were very, very young. They are voices that we heard between the ages of 3 and 7, which made us believe this is how life works. What this person expected of me, if I did it, I received acceptance. If I did it, I received belonging. If I acted in a certain way, I was okay, I was safe, I was loved. It's from these voices. Perfectionism isn't even yours. It's not it's not in your soul. It's not from the spirit of deepest love. The highest power of love and higher intelligence is not perfectionism. Perfectionism is entirely a judgmental, skewed way of looking at the world. And so when we were told things from people when we were younger, we developed systems inside of the deepest parts of our brain, right? All the way down in this deeper part of our brain, which translated in every cell of our body, understanding and believing this. It was all collecting in there. All these deep beliefs, all these thoughts on this is how the world works. This is how the world works. And I have to line up if I'm going to be accepted. I have to do it well. I have to be perfect. I have to make sure that no fault comes my way. That's what it is at the core of it. I have these fears living deep inside of me. You have these fears living deep inside of you that at the end of the day, we're not going to measure up. And I want to ask you, who are you trying to measure up to? Because you might say it's yourself, because what happens is we internalize the voices and then we reinforce them for the rest of our life. What the illustration I always love to hear is that it's like when you're younger, someone had a bat that they were hitting you with. Be better, do it like this, or it's just requirements. Like maybe it didn't even feel so harsh and violent, but maybe it's just requirements like this is how life looks. Do it like this, walk the right way. And when you get older, you take the bat and you hit yourself. So you might think, these are things I think. These are things I expect of myself. But they weren't yours. They were never yours. They were handed to you. They were programmed into you. They were given to you by generations that have the same cycles of unhealthy problems. Okay? So that is the very first thing that I want you to understand. These are not yours. Perfectionism is not in your soul. It is not your default aligned system. It's the programmed system. So what we have to do is we have to start to realize that is not us. We're going to start to put up some barriers. That's not us. That voice, not us. If the voice sounds like judgment, fear, or shame, no. Put this up. That does not belong to me. That is not mine. That's been something that's been handed down to me. Of course my body is triggered. Of course my body is worried because of how it understood that idea from the very beginning, but that doesn't mean it's truth. It just means it's familiar. All right? What you have to start to do, and it is a process, and it does take some time, but what you have to start to do is you have to say, I decide the voices. I decide. Me. I decide what I get to say to myself. I get to decide what I believe about myself. I get to decide how I talk to myself and what I say to myself and how I am holding myself in compassion. I choose it. The thing is, what we all want is acceptance. And we're all looking for it outside of ourselves. And so if it's not being looked for in a particular person, it's looked for in an idea, because the idea is if I'm perfect, people will accept me. So people are still kind of like the one past that. The perfectionism itself is like a concept, an idea, and it's behind it are the people, and we want people to like us, and we want people to say that we're okay and they accept us. And the problem is that's outside of you. That is not here. That is over there. And nothing that is outside of you will ever give you the kind of settled feeling that you're looking for. It is an inside job. So, what we have to do is we have to say, in this space, I am going to practice accepting myself. I am going to practice how I speak to myself. I am going to practice the words that I let in and the words that I say, no, thank you. You can stay outside. It has to become a practice. It has to be something that you regularly tune into and regularly try. So just for the very beginning, just start with recognizing if it feels like judgment, shame, or fear, it's a voice from over there. It's not me. I do not have to continually subscribe to that voice. I don't have to say, oh no, there it is again, because that's just over there. I don't have that. It's taken my consent. Up until now, I have consented to listen to that voice, and I no longer consent. Now I only consent to words about myself that feel like kindness, that feel like a friend, perhaps a coach, perhaps somebody, that it doesn't have to be just, you know, fake bloviating stuff. But it would sound like another human being to a human being. Whereas the way you're sounding with perfectionism right now does not sound like a human being that would ever talk to another human being. Like, you wouldn't go say that to someone else. So start watching for those kinds of conversations and the dialogue within yourself, okay? Because that's where it all begins. Obviously, this is going to take a little bit of time and practice. And I will tell you that if you have a mentor or a coach, it can work much faster, because what you do is you actually borrow a new voice. You get a new voice that's separate from all those, that's telling you the kind of stuff you want to learn how to say to yourself all the time. But it can be hard to start to do it with your own brain. So getting outside help is really a really like a fast way to get there faster, to get into this feeling of I can be okay with myself, I can stand in acceptance of myself. Like, it's an esteem building is what this process is, and it's much faster if you're bringing someone in there to build it with you. So if this makes sense to you and you're like, yeah, I would like to feel that kind of way in my body, I invite you to click the link below in the description and check out my one-on-one mentorship call, and we can talk all about mentorship. And if it's a fit for you, it's completely free. There's no pressure, no strings attached. I will say I only work with a small number of committed women at a time, so if that feels like a pull, if it lights you up and you're like, yeah, let's do this, make sure you click the link below in the description and we will chat. So remember, when you feel the perfectionism voice over top of you, yelling at you, which feels like anything like judgment or shame or blame of yourself, like you're not enough, you're not doing it well, anything that sounds like that, remember that acceptance is an inside job. And you first start learning how to talk to yourself as you would talk to any other human being, even if it's just an acquaintance. You would talk to them with civilized, acceptable human type of interaction. That's where you start. I talk about other things like this on this channel all the time. You might also be interested in a video called how to stay grounded when work pressure overwhelms you. And I also have another one on nervous system safety as a bigger concept. I go into more detail about that. That might be something that you want to go check out. Again, if you are interested in the call, make sure you click the link below in the description for the one-on-one mentorship call with me. I am very curious to see how you work with this and your experience of that, and I will be back soon to help you navigate more on connecting your smart brain to your wise body so you can live happy, strong, and free.